Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today I want to talk about this Zenitco KR-1U offset flashlight mount. This is intended to be used with their Zenitca line of flashlights, which I will probably buy one to replace my handheld flashlight with, but I just bought this to... Actually, I bought this a while ago, but I bought it to test if it would work with other flashlights, such as the one I have mounted on here currently, which is a old Phoenix I have, and this is currently... or was, because obviously I'm not holding it in my hand now, but this used to be my handheld light, which I moved to here to replace the other light that was on here. So now I need to replace my handheld light, as I was saying earlier, but I already kind of tested this a while ago, and I hadn't done a video on it yet because it didn't really work out for me. The flashlight right here, if I go back to this for a second, was actually it's a much smaller diameter on the one I have, compared to this, to where I couldn't make it work. Now, I actually maybe would be able to. I have some rubber inserts here, but from what I noticed, they're just not a sure enough kind of grip on it. It always seems like the flashlight ends up wiggling around, and I wouldn't trust that under recoil to not potentially damage the light. But I wanted to do this video anyway, in case any of you are looking at this for maybe the same reason I am. I'll measure this, the diameter and all of that, so you can get an idea of how it'll fit. And I'll just talk about a few things I did notice when I was just kind of messing around with how it fits on the gun itself and what I noticed in that regard. Of course, everything from what I noticed is without the Zenitca light in it. I was able to get my Phoenix light to fit into it. I didn't actually shoot with it because it already had started wiggling around by then, but I did get enough handling practice in, I think, with this to where I can give a decent enough opinion on it. But here we go. Here is the KR-1U itself. Interestingly, so I've got a few comments in the past. People were mentioning that Zenitco products used to ship with, I believe these are called hex head screws, and this one actually does, or at least the one I received. It seems like a lot of the Zenitco products now have switched to using the flathead, which isn't as great. As you can see, everything else I have from Zenitco here is using a flathead. But yeah, this one actually uses an Allen key, which they do provide here. There is two different Allen keys. So the smaller one here is what you use to adjust the two screws on the bottom here, which go onto the Picatinny itself. And then the larger screw, the larger Allen key, is what you use to adjust the screw that tightens down on your light. And to go over a few of the specs here, as usual, I like to check. This is 48 plus or minus 5 grams, so not bad on weight. And yeah, that's all I really care about there, so moving on from that. So, first off, let me go get a digital caliper or a micrometer, and let's measure the diameter here. Okay, so getting started. Funnily enough, I actually already measured this off camera, and then I accidentally deleted the number, so I don't remember what it was at. So I'm just going to measure the widest part here, and then I'm going to measure the top thickness of the metal, and I'll just subtract that. Actually, I'll do it from this angle, so yeah, then I will multiply that by 2 because there's a piece of metal here and a piece of metal there. So the widest point here is... no, I bumped it, but it looked like it was 1.405. Let me just double check it in case maybe it actually was. Yeah, so 1.405, as I was taking it off, I slipped it again and it dropped to 1.407. Now, the thickness of the metal is 0.19. Let me just move that around a bit to make sure it's about the same everywhere. Yeah. Okay. So multiplying that by 2, I'll put the result up here on the screen, and that is your diameter. So you could get this a little bit tightened down, as you can see here. You have a lot of room to kind of tighten it down. Wasn't enough in my case for this Phoenix flashlight, but I suspect if you had a flashlight that was pretty close to the same size, you could probably get it to actually fit. But speaking of fit, the next thing I wanted to talk about was what I noticed in terms of fit when I was putting it on this rifle. So, where I put it and where I saw, I believe it was an official kind of Zenitco, or actually let me move this one moment. Okay, so what I was saying is I believe that what I saw was from an official Zenitco type of promotional image, and they had one of these KR-1Us mounted up here right behind where the sling goes, and when I bought it I was thinking like, oh, that's great. That's a very good spot for it to be because, well, I think personally there's probably two good places, or so I thought anyway, I'll explain later, but I thought on the left side here would probably be pretty good, especially if you don't have a pressure pad. In my case I don't, but I'm thinking of getting one that does. But in this case, if you had it on the left, you could very easily reach up just on a normal grip and just press the button on. And similarly, if you had it on the top, going offset to the left, you could also just press it on very easily. However, what I kind of forgot to take into account was that if you do mount the KR-1U here, it will collide and be kind of annoying with your sling. It'll hit against the sling mount itself, or the flashlight mount here, the KR-1U will hit against the sling swivel if you're mounting it in the standard place, unless you have like a different setup for your AK, in which case maybe it would work better for you. Especially when you actually mount a light into here, it's going to of course stick out more, and this is, you know, it won't go up this much normally, your sling, but it will sometimes, and it'll just kind of sit awkward on your body when it's not able to push up as much as possible. So that's a big reason why, originally I was actually against this idea, but even though I'm probably not gonna be using this exact mount, and we'll see in the future, that's a very big and good reason to have a B19. I don't want to get too off topic, but also maybe to mount a pressure pad up here. It's an idea I was pretty against in the past because I mentioned that I like to be able to take my gas tube out, but after talking with a lot of people, and I don't know, I noticed like you really don't need to clean the gas tube out that well. I never shoot corrosive ammo, so that's not really a concern either. It's very easy actually to clean the gas tube with just like a shotgun bore brush and a shotgun cleaning rod, and just run it through from this end when you just have it regularly field stripped, but just not taking out the gas tube itself. And the big reason, one more thing, why I even bought one of these, because I already do have this mounted to a B9 AK gooseneck rail up here, my flashlight is because I got a comment, this is another thing I didn't actually notice, but I got a comment, people were mentioning like this, having it on the bottom here could potentially interfere if you're trying to shoot off of a barricade or a platform of any type. And that is very true. After I got that comment, I tested it out a bit, and I definitely noticed you kind of have to be a bit careful so you don't hit your light super hard. And you know, even if your light can take it, it's just kind of hard to get a sturdy surface to mount on when it is down here. So I am thinking I might end up moving my light up to the top. When I get the B19, we'll see if the mount I get, whether it's this one or a different one, if it'll actually clear the rear iron sight, which I think it will. But at any rate, I think that about covers everything on this KR-1U. This goes on just like normal, a little tab here, very sturdy like all the other Zenitco stuff. But like I was kind of saying, I'm just kind of uploading this video and talking about it in case any of you are interested in it and trying to adapt it to use it for a light, other than the Zenitca ones which they're made for. But yeah, not actually going to use it. So hopefully this is helpful or informative in your purchasing decisions of this part. Otherwise, I believe that is everything for this video that I wanted to cover. So thank you all for watching. Let me know if you have any other questions about this or anything else in the comments below. Otherwise, I hope to see you all in the next one. So take care, and I'll see you then.